Aling ito tayo nga ako mo sila tarabata sa nga Biblia talbada sa tigaringira Exodus chapter 14 verse 5 and more 12 yak mo iwi nga nga easy to read yak mo Pharaoh received a report that the Israelites had escaped. When he heard this, he and his officials changed their minds about what they had done. Pharaoh said, "Why did you let the Israelites leave? Why did you let them run away? Now you have lost our slaves." So Pharaoh prepared his chariot and took his men with him. He took 600 of his best men and all of his chariots. There was an officer in each chariot. The Israelites were living with their arms raised in victory. But the Lord caused Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to become brave, and Pharaoh chased the Israelites. The Egyptians' army had many horse soldiers and chariots. They chased the Israelites and caught up with them while they were camping near the Red Sea at Fihan Hero, east of Baal Zephon. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh and his army coming toward them, they were very frightened and cried to the Lord for help. They said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt? Did you bring us out here in the desert to die? We could have died peacefully in Egypt. There were plenty of graves in Egypt. We told you this would happen. In Egypt, we said, 'Please don't bother us. Let us stay and serve the Egyptians.' It would have been better for us to stay and be slaves than to come out here and die in the desert." This is the verse that I'm gonna share to us, because before this Pharaoh, there was 10 plagues, and Pharaoh didn't want Israelites to live, and Moses came to him 10 times and want to take God wants to take his people out of Egypt, out of slavery. But when they got their victory, they were praising God. They were praising and worshiping. But when trouble comes, when they look upon those mountains and saw Pharaoh and his army, the people of Israelites became weak. They start to complain and they want to go back to their old life. They knew they were slaves, but they didn't want to die in a desert island, like desert place. But when it looks for us, when it comes to us, we're like that. So every time when we trust God and we have victories over our trials and our troubles, even the greatest fear that we overcame with victory with God's help. But there are times we look in our lives, we came to think that when trouble comes, we we tend to always complain and want to go back to our own lives and forget what God has done. And the thing here, the main verse that I really want to point out is in verse 11 and 12. And they said to Moses, why did you bring us out of Egypt? Did you bring us out here in the desert to die? We could have died peacefully in Egypt. There were plenty of graves in Egypt. We told you this would happen. In Egypt we said, "Please don't bother us. Let us stay and serve the Egyptians. It would have been better for us to stay and be slaves than to come out here and die in the desert." When they were slaves in Egypt, they've been beaten up. They have less food. People from Egypt come and rob them. They forget all of those, and they want to go back. And sometimes we're like that. Sometimes when we fall down, we cannot. Sometimes we think that we can get back up, and we lose our faith in God. Man, we have to put our faith in God, because He is the one that give us strength, give us the things that that we need everything, and He give us victory every single day if we trust Him and put your faith in Him.